Hey, what's up? How you doing? Welcome to a Mark It Down production. My name is Daniel Big Bad Johnson. I am joined by Chad Cummings, and we're here to talk about wrestling and wrestling related things because we're a podcast, and based on the name Mark It Down, you could maybe figure that out. But this past weekend was a big event. It was the Royal Rumble, and basically what we're doing here today is deciding whether that Rumble was really royal or whether it was a royal fumble. And as you should know by now, Cody Rhodes returned and won the men's Royal Rumble, but way cooler and more impressive, Rhea Ripley won her Rumble from the number 1 spot and not the number 30 spot like heel Cody Rhodes did. But both people have made their decisions. Now, Cody didn't really have a decision, but Rhea did. And we'll get into Rhea in a bit, but to start with Cody, since their Rumble came on first, he won, and he is now going against Roman Reigns. And that's all well and good. The crowd still loves Cody amazingly. It's a fucking blows my mind. I guess none of these fans watched AEW. That's wild. But he is going against Roman. And the issue there isn't with Cody, but it's more so with the fact that, and I don't know if you know this, I don't know if you guys watching at home know this, but Cody Rhodes is not Sami Zayn. And that might hurt to hear. You know, that might have just been a Band-Aid I ripped off. But he's not Sami Zayn. They're both doing their best to fight racism, you know, in their own ways, but they're not.
I thought Cody ended racism. What are we talking about?
Well, he ended it in AEW as a different company. And
all right,
they don't acknowledge AEW, so obviously they don't acknowledge the end of racism, which, you know, is a whole nother bag of worms, and Saudi Arabia is involved in it somehow. But anyway, somehow, despite Sami getting Daniel Bryan levels of over, he is not factored into the main event. And
yet,
I guess yet as of right now, as of recording this, he is not factored in to the title picture at WrestleMania. He seems to be the guy to face Roman at Elimination Chamber, which is something we all expected for a long time because we expected the payoff to be Sami and Kevin reunited to dethrone the Usos at Mania and take the tag titles. But that being said, it looks like we're going to Cody that way. And so far, he has avoided the Batista treatment. So I guess my question for you is, how do you feel about the current road we're on to WrestleMania? How do you feel about Cody being involved with the title picture now when this story with the Bloodline has been so good, so tight, and just so blow away engaging that Cody feels like he has nothing to do with it? So it almost feels like Cody is on his own. Cody's on Cody Island, as he used to have in AEW, and the Bloodline is on the island of relevancy with the whole Sami Zayn stuff. So does that jar with you at all? Does that rub you the wrong way? Do you think Sami should be involved? And there's a lot of questions that come out of this, like how do you feel about Cody and all this? But yeah, just start weighing in on the whole situation as it is.
Well, I'm going to start by being a little selfish because I had number 1 in my Rumble pool for the men's, and I came this close to winning with Gunther. So I was very disappointed because I could have won some cash. Instead, somebody else did. But, I mean, I think when Cody came in, Cody was going to be the guy. Like, everyone predicted Cody's going to eventually take the title off of Roman, unless somehow The Rock got involved. And even then, there's still a really good chance it's Cody. Whether or not that was at Mania or earlier or whatever. And the Sami Zayn thing wasn't even a thing yet, I don't believe. Mm-hmm. So...
No, he's fighting Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the Sami Zayn thing wasn't a thing yet at all. So, I forgot about that match. I love that match.
Everyone did.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's thrown a wrench in the plans, but it's definitely put a little rust on these gears because there's clearly a path here where you can write Sami taking the title off of Roman. But I think that would be one of, if not maybe the biggest upset in WrestleMania history. Like that's a lot. Now, I'm not saying Sami couldn't be built to do it. Sami's a really good wrestler. It's just lately he hasn't been billed as Sami Zayn NXT really good wrestler. You know, he's been billed as Sami Zayn like lackey who's actually been pulling his weight recently. At least as far as I can understand. As everybody probably knows, I don't watch WWE week in and week out, but I do try to keep up with the Bloodline stuff because, as you said, it's been so good. But so it's like, I'm totally cool with it being Cody. I am. But you're right. He doesn't have any interaction with Roman at this point other than, I mean, I guess the closest he came was he fought Seth. And like they have a shared opponent. Cool. And then now his interaction with Roman is he won the Rumble, so they have to intersect at some point. And we haven't even started with that yet because I guess now he's feuding with Judgment Day after what I saw on Monday. So it's weird. I think they'll do a build to Mania of Roman versus Cody Justice. But where Sami fits into everything is now super complicated. Because, like you said, it would have made sense. It's Cody and Sami versus Usos for the tag titles, but you still, I think, a lot of people want Sami to face Roman now because of how over he's gotten, and I also think Jey Uso plays a huge part in this. His reaction after the beatdown at the end of the Royal Rumble, him facing Sami Zayn almost just doesn't feel right. So I don't know what to do with Sami. I think I have more questions about what to do with Sami than what to do with Cody. I think obviously Cody won the Rumble. He faces Roman at Mania. That's easy. How they get there obviously is going to be a bit more complicado. But the Sami and Jey make this insanely complicated.
They do. And I just want to say real quick that I will make fun of him constantly in this podcast. I will take jabs at him. I love Cody Rhodes. He is one of my favorites. It goes back to a long-standing thing between me and one of my friends, Kevin, and I think one of my friends, Eddie, too, where they said Ted DiBiase Jr. was the guy in Legacy, and I was like, no, it's clearly Cody Rhodes, and I've turned out really right on that. But it's more so, it's because I'm not doing this against Cody, even though I do. I say it as a joke, but I genuinely think he deserves to be booed still. Like, I still think we're letting him off easy for leaving the company, refusing to turn heel and leaving the company to get a fresh slate and be cheered mildly. Like, there's a way you could spin this. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I was going to say, I saw somebody on Reddit the other day make a really good point about the fact that Cody doesn't get booed in WWE, where a lot of the hardcore fans, like hardcore wrestling fans, they've kind of left and gone to AEW. So I feel like I don't want to say the majority of WWE fans, but I guess like a lot of the remaining ones now are the casuals who only know Cody Rhodes as the guy who used to be in WWE and then left. And then now he's back. Kind of like the way, like, if you're not a hardcore fan, you don't really know what Drew McIntyre did after he left WWE before he came back as this just absolutely yoked Scottishman. So I'm sure people have an idea that he helped found AEW, but I also have a feeling like they don't really know what went on there in terms of him not turning heel and starting to get booed and creating the Codyverse. And, you know, there's a clip that's on the top of Squared Circle right now of when he threw the weight belt into the crowd and it got thrown back. Like, you know, that was very John Cena in an ECW arena type of deal. But I think a lot of the casual people just are blind to all of that. So they just love Cody Rhodes. He's the returning American Nightmare, grandson of a plumber, son of Dusty Rhodes type of deal. And the American thing plays up in WWE. It always has. It always will. So I think that's a good reason why he's not getting booed the way he was in AEW.
I think that's a fair point, but I think I can just disprove it pretty easily. If that was the case, he wouldn't be getting such big reactions. He would get John Morrison return, Carlito return, level of pop because that's where he left. He left lower than those guys. Or
So
maybe
did
not.
Drew, and Drew got crazy over.
Yeah, but Drew came back through NXT, which is the way to win over a lot of people's hearts, especially at the time where NXT was still like what for the hardcore fans, and then that translated to main roster. But he also came back unbelievably jacked. And not like Cody isn't in better shape, but like you know, Cody still looks like a guy, whereas Drew looks like, oh my god, put that guy in a fucking movie. Yeah. You know, like that's a stark contrast. Whereas Cody's he's blonde now, so like it's like so.
Oh, that's the only distinguishing difference between Cody then and Cody now.
And he has a stupid neck tattoo, so it's not all good. And arguably the blonde could go either way. But you know, I think anyone who's watching now, they know no one doesn't know where he came from. They might not have watched what he did there, but they know that's what made it hype. That's what made it exciting. That's where all the buzz came from. Otherwise, him returning, he would have just been a one-off, like a Rumble return. It wouldn't have been done the way it was if.
I think that's the distinction, though. They know where he came from. They don't know what he did, and they don't know that he was getting booed and created, you know, this whole Codyverse thing. I think that's the difference. They're like, this guy who became a super big shot on the outside is now back, and he's going to be a big shot in WWE.
Yeah, you know? Sure, to some degree, but you know, I do think, you know, there's a way to spin the narrative if you're one of those people. And like I said, I don't fully agree with this, but that's why I kind of wanted to get booed a little bit, because I think it'd be funny and he deserves it. It's like, you know, you can literally see like, bro, this guy started a company and then all of a sudden things weren't going his way there, and the crowd is turning on him, and he selfishly doesn't want to turn heel, because that ultimately, no matter the reason, I view it as like that's you being stubborn, borderline selfish, to not want to turn. You know, like even Cena wanted to turn heel at some point and had to be talked out of it by Vince. You know, like it's like for you to look, you can't be that delusional, you know, where it's like, and then you can't look at Cena getting booed all. It's like, I hate that wrestlers will use that now as like justification, where it's like, well, look at John Cena. But anyway, you can spin the narrative where he's getting booed in one company and then he leaves to get overwhelmingly cheered, and to leave in a position of so much leverage to put himself in a position to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns. Because otherwise, there's like, what if he was there? If he came back sooner, there's no way he's the guy that dethrones Roman. If he came back, like, instead of making AEW, came back in 2019,
like post the Bullet Club is fine stuff, like right before all the Elite's contracts ran up in New Japan and Ring of Honor and stuff. Like,
yeah,
right before,
he wouldn't be this guy.
Yeah,
or like, he would have been a world, but he wouldn't be the guy to dethrone this Roman. He could have won the world title when there was two titles. Absolutely, he would have come back and won one.
But he's not.
Like, he's the guy to end this historic title reign. You know, so like you could easily spin the story. And like I'm saying this, I don't fully believe that. I only believe that he should get booed because he kind of deserves it a little bit. And you know, he thinks Homelander's a fucking good guy. I swear to God, he thinks Homelander's a good guy. But anyway,
there's no doubt in my mind.
You know, he's but that aside, that was a small tangent aside where I just think it'll be funny if he gets booed. But he's received no backlash so far. It's amazing the tightrope they're walking right now, where he's not getting the backlash for not being Sami. Like, he's not getting the backlash I talked about, but like that's, if he was going to get that backlash, it would have happened already.
Backlash isn't until after WrestleMania.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. You got me there. But I just think it's, in a way, it's just weird because he's so far removed from the story. He feels like the wrench in the works being forced into the story in a way, but they've done a good it's only been a week, but like, you know, they've done a good job so far of putting him in positions where he's not going to get booed. Like, he eliminated Logan Paul, he eliminated Dom. They put the men's rumble on before Sami turned on the Bloodline and vice versa. You know, like, they're doing it very smartly. They're doing it smart in a way where it's protecting Cody in that regards, where they're taking these precautions. And I think it's going to pay off, whereas like no one's, because I want him to dethrone Roman. Now that we're here, it's what I want. I want him to beat Roman, but it's just very interesting. The story is so good, and it's a testament to how good the story is that he feels out of place. That the guy we knew was earmarked for this since he came back feels out of place now that he's finally going to get into it with Roman, and that's just a testament to how good Sami is. And the story has always been for Sami and Kevin to reunite and dethrone the Usos. We saw that coming, but again, it's become so good. It's taken on a mind of its own, and there's a whole nother discussion that can be had after Mania about whether striking while the iron was hot with Sami was the move they should have done or not. We'll see how that plays out. Because like you said, the Jey Uso of it all is exciting, and I can see them dethrone the Usos, but then he breaks through to Jey, and then Jey challenges Roman again and truly stands up to him again, and that's what ends up taking down the Bloodline entirely, not just them losing the titles, but them actually imploding from that. And then, Jey can fight Roman, Solo can go on his own, Jimmy can get fired for all I fucking care. I don't know. But he contributes nothing to this. Like, he's not good. But or he's fine in this, but like he's not. If he wasn't there, okay, what's a war? Like, he has no war. Like, if we're talking about like baseball stats, like
wins above replacement.
Yeah, he has nothing. Like, you could put anyone there, and it's the same thing. Like, he is the league average. But that's the exciting thing about this, is that it's such an intricate story that it does feel like they're walking a tightrope, even if they're not. Even if for them it's like, oh, we've had a plan and we're sticking to it. It's still the fact that we can have this discussion about it and not be like pissed off or heated about it, and it's just interesting and fascinating, I think is a testament to how exciting the story is.
Yeah,
and that's fantastic. And everyone,
sometimes plans change. Dave Meltzer, trademark. But I think, in my opinion, their best plan of action, I guess, if they want to continue with this plan of Sami and Kevin versus the Usos, Cody at Mania. Well, they obviously have committed to Cody at Mania versus Roman. I do think you wrap up strictly the Sami Roman stuff
at Elimination
Chamber, not the Sami Bloodline stuff, the Sami Roman stuff. And I think they end up taking the path you do. You'd have the month of build between Cody and Roman, as you head into Mania. I'm sure you'll have, some interactions and some shots in the coming months before Elimination Chamber. But I think you mostly set up Sami and Roman for that. Then you put pedal to the metal for Roman Cody heading into Mania. I think you're right. And then everything you said, Usos versus Owens and Sami, they probably take the titles. Sami then gets through the J after the Bloodline basically loses all their shit. Probably because Roman's going to go batshit fucking crazy without all his titles and without the Usos having their titles, because they ain't the ones no more. And that's going to start the disintegration of the Bloodline, because Roman's going to go like really fucking crazy. I think he's going to get really violent with all of them, except maybe Solo. And we'll see what happens. I am curious to see what happens with Solo too. I'm hyped because somebody pointed this out on Reddit. Roman said this to Solo, and only Solo, right before the the trademark logo came up at the end of the Rumble, and he was like, "We're going to war now, Solo. Take no prisoners." And he only said it to Solo. He didn't say it to Jimmy, and obviously Jay had left, and he didn't say it to Paul. So I think Solo's gonna start fucking taking names, dude. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens with him. I think he's gonna start murdering people.
Best NXT call up in years, honestly.
Yeah, and like first 3 months, or however, how long you been up? It's been more, right? At this point.
Yeah, I think it's been like 5 months now.
Yeah, it's him and Owens. I mean, Owens came in and beat Cena twice clean.
Yeah.
You cannot do a lot better than that.
Yeah, so
for a guy who hasn't won a title, though, definitely the best call up.
Yeah, I mean, even factoring in titles, it's just because he's being pushed and he's being protected, but he's not being over pushed. He's being pushed beyond what we thought his level was, but not being pushed beyond that. Like he's being just pushed in all the right ways. He's a henchman, but he's a protected henchman that wins. So Cody is going to beat him on the road to WrestleMania, but
I disagree with henchman, though. I disagree. He's not a henchman. That man is an assassin.
Yeah, okay. So
He's the enforcer sent by the elders to protect Roman and follow him in their lands.
He's a good henchman. He's a named henchman.
Top tier.
Yeah, but he is going to lose to Cody on the road to WrestleMania. But that'll be good because you've protected him so much that is actually going to be a big deal. And actually, and it's weird because it's just Cody beating a monster and a foreigner. That I know it's technically part of the US, but it's just that part of it's going to be really good because it feels like it's always had a purpose. Then, like his first main roster loss is going to be for a reason to build the main. It's going to be just great. Everything about it's going to be great. So
at least it's not Cody versus fucking Gunther in the America versus foreigner kind of thing.
Oh, that's another thing. I'm like, bro, like, see, he thinks Homelander is a good guy. Like he literally, I gotta beat the foreign heel. Like what? Like, bro, I gotta beat the hardworking foreigner who has been in this match for over an hour. Started at the number 1 position, has just been working hard through the whole thing. And here I am using my fucking privilege to waltz in number 30. And yeah, just win from there. I'm the good guy here. I'm the good guy. But that was a fantastic end of the Rumble. It was great. It's just so funny that of course, like, it's Triple H pushing one of his favorites and making him look good, but it just happened to be the foreign heel, against the only thing that's unlikable about Cody is how fucking patriotic he is. And in all honesty. But
sometimes I wonder if Cody's doing this meta thing where like he knows he's doing it and just refuses to admit it.
I used to think that about a year and 2 months ago when he beat Sami for the TNT title on Christmas, and I was like, okay, he's aware, he knows what's going on. Like he's finally going to turn heel. Like he's been leaning into it these past 6 months, and that's he's been playing us, but that didn't happen.
I always thought he was going to end up leading into the like delusional heel, or where like he thinks he's a face and everyone's booing him, and he's like, yeah, like, but I think I can't decide if he like did it on purpose to like ignore it on purpose, or he just genuinely is delusional. And it's such an interesting line because it's wrestling. You don't know, and it almost makes Cody a better character just because it's way more intricate than it should be.
Yeah, well, except now he's just in WWE as a clear-cut, blue-eyed babyface. But yeah, that was the allure of it. But speaking of faces that just aren't fucking faces.
Yeah, before we do get to that, I want to say one more thing about it. I am so hyped for Roman's WrestleMania entrance.
Oh, I'm not. That's my least favorite part about Roman. I hate his entrance.
Oh, I feel like they're gonna break out like a bunch of the Samoans, and they'll probably get like the fucking drums and shit. I think it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
because there's a good chance
are going to be cut off the card for how long it is. But
because I think there's a good chance this is his last WrestleMania as champ in this run. So I think they're gonna break out all the fucking stops for him.
I'm sure they will, but I already find his entrance so boring. Also, I think his music's very like I can't tell the difference sometimes between like him, Bailey, and Seth's Messiah music before they switched it back or made the newer version of what his music is now. They're also just generic like religious music. But
what church are you going to? But yeah, they are. They're all like generic rock and roll or whatever, and it's not nearly as good as it used to be. Like even like the CFO stuff, it was repetitive, but it was good and it was distinct. A lot of this shit just isn't distinct, and that's why it sucks.
I'll never understand anyone who hated on like CFO. They made great fucking songs.
They made Glorious. They can do whatever they want. They can do no wrong, in my opinion.
They made Glorious was a rejected song. That literally was like oh fuck, we got to give this to somebody because Nakamura said no to it. Like that's wild. That's Glorious wasn't even originally made for Bobby Roode. That was just leftovers from Nakamura being like, no, that doesn't fit.
Which is nuts because Bobby made that like his whole character and he was amazing at it.
Yeah.
The Glorious one was so much fun. But I will take Roman's new theme though over him using the Shield theme. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I also just hate how his entrance takes 45 fucking minutes.
That's fair.
It just bothers me. I fast forward through it and it still bothers me.
Only one person gets to take that long, and it's the Undertaker, and that's it.
And even then, it's only because he was getting older, so he just became more and more accepting of how long it was taking him.
That's why he brought out the bike last time. It was just going to take him too long to walk down the ramp.
That didn't turn out too great, but yeah. Anyway, like my segue was saying, faces that aren't really faces.
Sorry to ruin your segue.
No, it's okay. It's fine. Rhea Ripley, who won the Women's Royal Rumble as a heel from the number 1 spot, but no one questioned it because she's great and it was always her Rumble to win. Because I'm not like literally who else could have won that? Becky and Bayley are in a feud. They took each other out. Those are the only other credible people in the match. And that's it, but she came out and she made her decision. And now you could look at this 2 ways, right? She has 2 options. She has Charlotte, who she lost to at Mania a few years ago, and what was a good match, a very good match, but the wrong person won, and it was a bad decision, and that derailed shit out of Rhea Ripley for a full fucking year until she won the title off Asuka the next year at Mania. And even then, it wasn't like she wasn't super heated up. She was just like, well, everyone accepts her as a champion, so you might as well give her the title. That derailed the shit out of her career with no payoff ever. That she wins the title from Asuka a year later, and then a couple months later loses out to Charlotte in a terrible feud that made Rhea look so bad. Again, redoing all the damage already done, to the point where she had to go to the tag division and then be saved by the Judgment Day, or in turn save the Judgment Day that was saving her. It's
mutual saving.
It is an anomaly. It's insane, but she has that option where there is history there. There's lore and there's a win to be won back. But then her other option was Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair, who was going to be a champion for a full calendar year come Mania, after beating Becky Lynch in literally the best match of WrestleMania last year, and has just been dominating, whose careers have been so parallel to each other. They had feuds in NXT. They were the last 2 in the Rumble that Bianca won. They were eliminated at the same time in the Rumble last year as the 3 and 4, in whichever order that was, but Ronda eliminated both of them at the same time, or Charlotte did, whatever. They both won their first main roster titles at the same WrestleMania. They've been just so parallel, so dominant together, and they've been these not fully crossing paths on the main roster, but occasionally crossing paths in like a gauntlet match or a chamber, and they're basically, I compare them to, they're like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan in the way that those 2 were in 2012, where they were both world champions, and then their paths would cross. They would have a couple of matches here or there, and then they didn't get their feud until like halfway through the next year, where they had an incredible run of matches. And and then Punk compared him and Bryan to Brett and Michaels, where you can pull us apart and put us together whenever. We're on again, off again, like that, like kind of the way Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are, where you can literally make them feud whenever, and it's going to be great. And it's just a career-long rivalry. They have that chemistry without really having the interaction, the matches on the main roster to go with it. And, you could just end this year-long dominant title reign as opposed to Charlotte's reign that started a couple of weeks ago, because the babyface came out and challenged the heel to a match after they already had a match, and then won via roll-up after someone had a long, grueling match, but somehow the good guy here. She had
her father somehow.
Yeah. Which, I was gonna make a Lacey Evans joke, but I can't be bothered right now. But Rhea chose Charlotte. The wrong choice. It's subjective, but it's objectively the wrong choice.
It is objectively the wrong choice.
The match will be good. And I think Rhea will get her win back finally. because it's Triple H in charge. But it's I am so sick of ranting about Charlotte on this podcast. So, but I'm going to do it anyway because it has to be done. But
I'll gladly do it.
She has been shoehorned. I was talking about Cody earlier being put in a story he fits nowhere in. Charlotte's ruined a division that needed saving. Like, the division genuinely needed her, and she's back, and it's already like, okay, this SmackDown women's division's fucking hopeless. Like, she comes in, takes the title off Ronda, who fans were sick of. I get it. Because Ronda's not great. But, like, the end was coming at Mania. It was probably building somewhere better. There was supposed plans for it to be Rhea versus Ronda at Mania. I don't believe that. I think that's an utter lie. But Ronda didn't like certain plans, so they bumped up the Raquel match that was supposed to happen at the Rumble. And then they had put the title on Charlotte, which is just... I am so sick of Charlotte coming back and just being in the title picture and now just winning titles every time she comes back, not even just being in it, just winning them. And then to pretend for a goddamn second that she is the face in this feud, which I get because Judgment Day is her heels, as cool as Rhea is, as much as we love her. You can't just turn her face. The group has to be heels. Their gimmick works because they're delusional heels.
It doesn't. Let me tell you right now. It does not matter what Rhea does. She's going to get cheered.
Yeah, but that's fine. But the character still has to be a heel.
Yeah, no, she's still got to be...
to be this character.
Yeah, she's still got to be the Diamond Mommy for this to work.
Yeah, but...
I felt so gross saying that.
I know, it was weird to say, but...
Well, that's the character. I won't say it again the rest of the podcast. I promise everybody.
Yeah, you just call her Dom's Dom,
Yeah.
But... It's just, I'm so sick of the Charlotte of it all because it just derails so much of the women's division. Because now Bianca is having the opponent that doesn't feel earned, and it feels so much lesser. They keep putting every fucking egg into the Charlotte basket and then default on the excuse that she's the star. But it's like, because she's the only person you give anything to. Like, what the fuck are Becky and Bayley going to do in Mania? Are they still going to be fucking feuding by then? Are you kidding me?
It'd be way too long.
Yeah. What the fuck is Bianca going to do now? What is Asuka? You could have had, because Producer Boy, as he's known on our show on Saturday, did say, like, you could do Asuka versus Charlotte and Rhea versus Bianca. Well, I said you do Rhea versus Bianca, and then Antonio's like, okay, so you could do Asuka versus Charlotte. And then Asuka, wouldn't it make more sense for Asuka to be the one to get her fucking win back at this Mania?
Yes, especially now that it's fucking Kana and she's crazy killer Asuka. Her getting the win back against Charlotte makes way more sense. What's she gonna do? Fight Bianca? Like, they have history together, but like not nearly the way Charlotte and Asuka do. Charlotte has the fucking streak.
Yep. Charlotte, I get it. There's so much. Charlotte's ruined so many people's career that you can tie in anyone to getting a win back on her. But like, it's just so, it left the rest of the division so. It somehow has affected Raw's women's division now.
Because they took the person who should be facing the Raw Women's Champion and put her against the SmackDown Women's Champion. They had this lined up for a year, especially after Judgment Day started, because
they have had teases and interactions.
Yeah,
where they just suddenly bumped into each other backstage.
Yeah,
the seeds have been planted since the summer for this.
They have had this lined up, ready to go, no fucking problem. This was a done deal. When we did the Rumble prediction show, the three of you, me, and James were all like, "Oh yeah, no, Rhea's winning this because she's going on to face Bianca at Mania. It's a done deal. It's a wrap." Like we all knew this. This was a fact, and they picked Charlotte because what? Because they had it wasn't a bad match, like you said, but a horrific booking decision. How in the middle of the pandemic to put the NXT title on Charlotte. And like you said, completely derail Rhea for a year. Like, what? So now she's getting her win back and she's going to be SmackDown Women's Champion when Judgment Day is still on Raw? Like, dude, what is it? And then you just create this huge vacuum of what the fuck is Bianca doing now? And literally, they're doing this backwards, especially if Bianca ends up facing Asuka. Like, give me Killer Clown Asuka against Charlotte and Rhea versus Bianca. This is not fucking complicated. I don't know what the fuck they're thinking.
bro, it's just
Yes,
it's
I'm
like I
fired up
keep
about
saying.
this.
No, you should be. I'm glad it's not just me. Like it's and I keep saying it, Charlotte makes things worse. Her presence does not make stories better. Sometimes they make matches better, but as we saw at last year's Mania, her presence did not make that match better. I would still rather have just had a Becky versus Ronda match, which we're not getting now, because, and this is a story from like probably 2 months ago that, people in Becky's camp, which is just funny to think about. I'm like, who's her camp? Like Seth Rollins.
It's her, Seth, and their kid.
Yeah, they have a cat and a dog, and like that Joshy G fitness trainer guy that half the roster goes to. It's like, okay, I guess those are the people who are like, yeah, they're not as interested in the Ronda match. They feel like it's been ruined. And I wonder why it could be ruined. Maybe because you did the Charlotte one first when no one asked for that.
I was also going to say, I'm pretty sure this came out right after Charlotte won the title. Was that 2 months ago or whatever it was? That's when they were like, no, it's ruined now. Because that should have been for a title. That honestly, I know we have like Killer Asuka back now, and with the situation at hand, yes, she should be facing Charlotte. Hell, you could have had her face Charlotte without the title, and Ronda faces Becky for the title, and motherfucking Rhea faces Bianca. Those are 3 huge women's matches for Mania. I don't know how you missed that.
They found a way. Even Triple H is not immune to the Charlotte vortex of it all. It's
like the meme where the guys like, go straight down to one thing and Triple H is the car hitting a hard right turn into the off ramp. Let's fuck this up.
Oh, I'm gonna make that a meme. Thanks for that.
Okay, there you go. Check the Instagram, everybody. Follow us at Mark It Down. I don't know. It was _pod.
No, I think it's just Mark It Down Pod. I don't think
it's in the description, people. Just follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, follow us in the description. We know it. But it's just such a like the only good thing I say about it is like Rhea getting the win back, which is a good thing, but
hooray.
At this point, I think it's better to be the one to end Bianca's dominant reign. Whereas now, like I don't think whoever she faces is gonna beat her at this point, unless it's Asuka, but even then, it's just flip it and it's so much better.
Yeah, because
it's just so much better.
Asuka gets her first WrestleMania win against the person who gave her first loss in WWE.
And set her on that bad trend, yeah.
Yeah. And we have this forever feud, like you said, of Bianca and Rhea. Like they've been tied together all the way back to NXT. Especially there was that time when I guess Rhea won. I don't remember who held which one, but Rhea had one of the women's titles. Bianca had the other, and they went down to NXT and hung out with, I think, Raquel.
Yeah,
for like a segment. Like they've always been tied together, I think, in some way or another. But like that really was like the hey, we're friends thing, and now Rhea's on on the bad side of things. You start this feud and go, but no, you gotta go fuck it up.
And there's the argument that Raquel is in the chamber and she could be the one, but like I'd rather just have Raquel again. I'd rather have Raquel, Charlotte, Rhea, Bianca. There's nothing I'd rather have more than Rhea, Bianca, and the combination of women that could possibly be going for these titles. Even if you had Liv Morgan be the one to face Charlotte, like that's different. That is different. Like we haven't seen that since like probably like 2018 or 19 when Liv was a completely different person. Like there's so many better ways you could have gone with this, and it blows my freaking mind, especially if Rhea has to face a face, because even though she's loved, she is a heel. Bianca is a face. Charlotte is not a face. The fact that you have the fucking gumption to think that you can keep Charlotte face for 4 fucking months.
She's not great at it.
No, and she gets worse over time. Like she's one of the few people who I think is like where I'm like, oh, I don't like them, but like I think the Miz is very overrated, but he seems like a cool dude. Like he seems like someone I can bully as a joke, and he would, not be a baby, but he'd play along, he could take it in stride.
Yeah, and he'd give it back to you. I watch Miz and Mrs. for like 10 minutes after Raw every week.
I mean, I think you just got that vibe from him, period. If you watch like 10 seconds of an interview, you're like, oh, you can make fun of this guy and he'll he'll play along, With Charlotte, I don't get, like, I don't know, like, and again, this is a lot of like this is rampant speculation on my part, and I don't know as a person, but I just get this vibe, and I hate using the word vibe, but I get this vibe from her that's like, I you walk on some sort of eggshells between kayfabe and reality, and the lines have become so blurred that I can't tell what kind of person you are. It was like you take Becky Lynch out of the man character. I'm like, oh, like you're just a cool, chill person. You like to make puns and shit. Like you're like a down to earth person. You take Matt Riddle out of his character, and you're still like a stoner douchebag. You know, but like some of the people are. There's not a lot of separation. Some people there are. You know, like Sheamus. Sheamus is like the nicest fucking dude. You know, and he's just been a career heel or better as a heel. He's only worked as a face in the last 8 months because he had this renaissance. But like, you know, it's like one of those guys where like you watch his workout videos, you watch anything with them outside, you're like, oh, this is the nicest fucking guy. You know, like it's I just don't get that from Charlotte. And again, this could be me being a hater, I guess, which is a bad way to deflect criticism. Just because someone doesn't like you, you can't just call them a hater, and that deflects all criticism. Like, you know, but it's just asinine to me. And I'm sure there are people out here excited for this. Good for you. It's not the worst thing that could be happening. There are worse things that could be happening. Like, you know, it could have been like Ronda Rousey versus Nia Jackson. That would suck.
Oh God, I was so disappointed when she came.
Even then, you know how good of a match that could be if you make it a vaccination on a pole match. You know, like you win by vaccinating your opponent. It would be fantastic. I would fucking pay to see that match alone.
Dude, for dead ass, and I tweeted this out when I was live tweeting the Rumble. I had for the women's Rumble in my pool, I had number 1 and number 30. And so I won, hooray me, with Rhea. But Nia comes out at 30. And I've never been so happy to lose something in my life. But I did like that in that segment, Rhea was the one who like hitting everyone's like, yo, it's Nia. Like, we gotta get her. And then everybody jumped Nia. Like, it was Rhea, and then Rhea like pulled back because he didn't want to get involved and get hit.
And then she hit the riptide, and then she commanded everyone else to throw her over. Like, all right, get her out of here.
Get her out.
Like, I will say that I said this in the review, but I hate the spot where you crowd the big person and then they just push everyone off. It's the stupidest looking fucking thing. It doesn't work. I hate it. I hate when they do it. It looks so shitty and hokey.
It only works for Superman, and that's about it.
yeah, I accept it when Superman does
Hulk.
it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Any big supernatural being, you know. Oh yeah, no. I mean, Hulk. If it's Hulk Hogan, I expect him to flub his lines, and you know.
Did he ever get his toilet paper?
Don't know. Don't care. I hope. Nope, I'm not even gonna go there. But yeah, it's just I don't know. I'm just bummed because it was coming off such a good run. Like the women's Rumble, in my opinion, was slightly better than the men's this year. Despite the men's ending with that great match between Gunther and Cody, but
yeah,
you know, the women's Rumble felt more like classic Rumble stuff where the entrances were, I think, stacked better and played into each other more, and just I felt like escalated to a certain degree and just felt more Rumble-ish than the men's one, which just felt like a lot of paint by numbers until Cody came out.
Yeah. There's a lot of big meaty men slapping meat in the men's match.
the strength of the men's match was that it really showed how stacked the roster truly is, because there wasn't a lot of big returns or like outside names or part-timers coming back. You had your Texas guy and Booker T.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was pretty much just King Booker, and that was it. And
I guess Logan Paul too.
Oh yeah, and Logan Paul, yeah,
But that is to set up a Mania match with Seth Rollins, which I think will be match of the night. I'm pretty sure.
There's a decent chance, dude.
Now it's going to be match of the night. But you know, it's so that showed. But it all in all, because of the Cody of it all, and because it was, I think all deep down we all knew The Rock wasn't actually going to be there. You know, it just wasn't. It didn't have that excitement level, whereas the women's, even though they really didn't have any big names either, because I don't count Michelle McCool, but
coming out of the stands.
Yeah, God, nepotism. But it still felt more Rumble-ish in that regard, and the ending was the way she re-eliminated Liv was fantastic. But that's a whole nother. We had a whole show about that. And I mean, you weren't on it, but
Yeah,
it's just weird. I'm just not super excited. I am so much less excited than I was when the Rumble ended, and that's so weird. I'm more excited for Elimination Chamber than WrestleMania right now. That's so weird.
Have they planned out the women's side of the Elimination Chamber yet? Like, is that to face Bianca? Is that the plan?
Yeah. So right now,
I love when they do that. I think that should always be the plan.
No, I agree. That's why
everyone gets thrown in the chamber. They get the other champion.
Yeah, that's why I love the Elimination Chamber being before Mania. Like, I think it serves such a great purpose. It's like, all right, well, you couldn't win the Rumble. Well, now you got to go through this fucking shit,
Yeah.
But right now, it's they took the last 4 in the Rumble besides the Rhea who won.
I like that.
It's Liv, Asuka, Raquel, and Piper Niven. Then they're gonna have a fatal 4-way on Monday, between like Carmella, and other people.
Yeah, and other people. And sir, he who shall not be appearing in this film.
Yeah, and they're gonna have us to get the 5th spot, and I think the way they phrased it, the 6th spot is gonna be a surprise. So I think that means it's not gonna be Becky or Bailey. I have no idea who it'll be.
God, I hope it's not Ronda.
It might
Ronda versus Bianca would suck.
Yeah, but it's at least a big name for Bianca to be, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. None of this shit makes sense anymore now because of that.
Do you see the chaos you cause Triple H? Do you see what you have done? You had one easy decision. Rhea faces Bianca, and now it's just madness. Cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria.
You can walk the tightrope of the Cody, Sami, Roman situation, but you couldn't handle the fucking T-ball you had served up for you with Rhea Bianca is wild. But whatever. I think I've gotten all my rants out of me. What about you?
Well, I could rant about this for like another 30 minutes, but I think that would be a lot.
Yeah, it was the wrong call, Trips. And again,
we've got what, 2 months until Mania to yell about this. I'm sure we'll have enough time to yell about this in the future.
Yeah. And if you think we're wrong, I mean, tell us why. I disagree with you. I don't think there's a point you can make that we haven't already talked about here. Like Rhea getting her win back, like cool. Again, let Asuka get a win back, and then have Rhea face Bianca because that's just better. But whatever.
Let us know in the comments, Marks. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, what do we know? We're just a bunch of marks making videos for other marks about marks who work for a company all about marks. It's wild. But anyway, we got our social medias in the description. Follow us there. Interact with us. Like the video, maybe. Subscribe, definitely. Comment. Share it if you're a weirdo or a friend of ours. And yeah, have a good day. Have a good night. Get a good night's rest. Be nice to animals. Don't drink and drive. And yeah, that's about it. Have a good night. Please get off my lawn. Goodbye.